in my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
What do you guys want to talk about?
What do you all want to talk about? What's going on? All right, let's get some positives out there. It is a couple days before the new year. It's a beautiful day here in Sacramento, wherever you're watching from. Hope it's a beautiful day there as well. No Luka tonight. No Kyrie Irving tonight. Good if you are a Kings fan. Bad if you have a ticket to the Kings game tonight. Like BJ. BJ, that's your Christmas present, man. Rest management. Well, Luke is injured, so regardless, he's not in it. There's so much to talk about. We have so much to get to. You see the title of the show, and I guess I want to preface it this way. I made some pretty strong comments in the post game after the Kings lost to the Lakers about De'Aaron Fox, and I stand 100% by those comments. I do not back down from those whatsoever. However, with Vivek, there's this line that I've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours with fans, especially on social media, people hitting me up on my DMs. It's the line of, he saved the Kings. He saved the Kings. So we can't be upset. There's no basketball in Sacramento, if not for Vivek Ranadive and many others. Kevin Johnson, Carmichael Dave, Grant Napier, to name a few. Local business owners that kick-started that entire thing. What did they call them in Midtown? It was a group of 10 Midtown business owners that put up, I believe, $1 million. Regardless, you get my point there. There's no basketball in Sacramento without Vivek. Yes, two things can be true at once. There is no basketball without the movement. However, that doesn't mean that you are relegated. You have to be okay with bad basketball, bad management. And that's the line that I think many fans are trying to navigate as we go through this. And if you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you go to ESPN.com. I've already put it out. I'm sure you've probably seen it by now, but Ramona Shelburne did an excellent article behind the scenes of the last 4 weeks. And, you know, some of it was news, some of it was not news, and some of it, you got to take it for what it's worth. You don't know whether it's going to be true or not until the rest of this season plays out. The one thing that is indisputable with that article is this team and the way it's managed behind the scenes is a complete dumpster fire. Dumpster fire. So we'll get into it on the other side. We're kicking off a full day of coverage here on If You Don't Like That right now with the Kings Court. Don't forget, here at 4 o'clock, Napes is going to be taking you from 4 to about 4:45, leading up to Monday Night Football, college football playoff. Go Broncos. Go Boise. And tonight, we've got pregame, halftime, postgame, all right here around the Kings and the Mavericks. Let's get into it. Court is in session on If You Don't Like That.
Grant and Ryan break it down. It's Sacktown, we're the crown.
Needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end, but this is the time to get Williams, the D-line. Fox. Goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that. It doesn't get any better than this.
It doesn't get any better than this. Bill, welcome in. Court is in session here. I'm Rhino in Sacktown. What do you think? Should we do a trial? We haven't done a trial in a while. The trial of Vivek Ranadive. I mean, at one time, and you notice the title of the show today, Empty Promises. I hope this does not get ripped down. If the show gets ripped down, let me know because of the background music. But do you remember this promise?
This is your team.
This is your team, and it's here to stay. Well, it's here to stay as of right now, but I wouldn't necessarily say this is Sacramento's team right now, Vivek. I would say I don't know whose team it is. Yeah, you have 65% of the managing shares of this basketball team, but Vivek, is it Monte McNair's team? Is it De'Aaron Fox's team? I mean, dude, you are asleep at the wheel. So the fans here in Sacramento have always come first. The last thing I would have thought coming into this season is we would be staring a rebuild square in the eyes. And that's what we're doing at this point. Now, the question is, do they do it right? My opinion, you want to do it right, reduce De'Aaron Fox's minutes. Sit his ass down. With all due respect, De'Aaron, with all due respect, your time has ran its course in Sacramento. Now, who takes his place? I don't know. But what I do know is De'Aaron Fox should not be in the future plans of this Sacramento team. And obviously, by watching them in LA, having De'Aaron Fox on the court doesn't really make things much better. It's taking minutes away from guys that might be part of the future plans of this team. And I'm not saying significant pieces to this team, but I can see a Keon Ellis playing a role on this team off the bench. What about Colby Jones? Now, I'm not saying start Colby Jones and play him 35, 40 minutes. What about Devin Carter, who we're going to talk about here in a few minutes? Devin recalled to the Kings. So we've got a lot to go through. And if you're going to the game tonight, I know I mentioned BJ's name, but if you're going to the game, let me know what you are headed to the G1C thinking. Are you angry? Are you excited? Are you happy to just be going to a game? Where's your mind at? I don't know the last time I have looked forward to a Kings game this much. And it's for this one reason and one reason only. I don't know what to expect tonight from this fan base. Night in and night out, I know that the fans bring it. They support the team. But I also know Sacramento will draw a line in the sand. If you're not hustling, if you're not giving it your all, if you're a part of the problem and not a part of the solution, they'll let you know about it. And they won't forget either. Just ask Buddy Hield. Ask Spencer Hawes. Ask DeMarcus Cousins. So are the fans going to boo people tonight? Is Fox going to get booed? Should he get booed? Did you read the article from Ramona Shelburne? Do you believe some of the things that are in that article? Do you believe that is the true sentiment of some of these people? And how about Coach Brown? Let's talk about Coach Brown for a second. On the post-game show after the Lakers game, Grant's like, Mike's got his, want to give him respect. Coach Brown is sitting in El Dorado Hills. He's got his feet kicked up on the couch. Excuse me, Sacramento. You've driven me to the hard stuff. We're drinking soda on the air. Smooth. Okay. He's got his feet kicked up. And he's making money. $8.5 million a year to be exact. He doesn't have to deal with this BS. If you believe some of the other rumors that are out there that Mike proposed, in fact, this was from NBA Central. Not sure if any of you caught this. And in fact, De'Aaron Fox clapped back at this. If you've not been on X here in the past few hours, this was NBA Central talking about the situation with the Kings.
players get traded for a lack of a fit. Coaches aren't immune to that, you know. So I'm hearing there was just some pushback from how De'Aaron Fox was continuously being singled out, you know, whether it was publicly or behind the scenes, or the players just didn't agree with that sentiment, or, you know, I was even hearing whispers that there was a situation where he might have asked, you know, or suggested that even DeMar DeRozan come off the bench, you know, and those things proved to be severe missteps in an already challenging season, where it put the front office in a position where they had to side with either the all-star talent they had or to part ways with their former coach of the year, who had a brand new 3-year extension.
Front office, Monty. I know I haven't mentioned your name much today. Coming for you a little bit, my man. Coming for you, Monty. So let's assume that part of that might be true. Now, De'Aaron clapped back about the players. But we've said Mike Brown didn't exactly have the best ingredients, right? You ever watch that show? I think it used to be on Food Network called Chopped, where you get a basket and you get 30 minutes to make something out of it. Have you ever seen the Iron Chef on YouTube, whose sons bring him McDonald's, bring him gas station sushi, bring him run-of-the-mill, bad, quick food, and he turns it into gourmet food? That's what Mike Brown was asked to do. And if Mike Brown proposed to the players, to the front office, to ownership, that DeMar DeRozan come off the bench, and that causes a massive rift in this organization, it seems like a pretty obvious move when you've done everything that you can for the most part. Everything you can for the most part with what you have on the bench. A bench that's closer to a G League bench than an NBA bench. Let's be honest about it. With all due respect to the Kings bench, closer to that, a high-level G League bench. Got a couple of older veterans. You got younger guys that are raw but have the talent. So you've done everything you can do there, and you look at the starting lineup. Progressive, plug your ears. I'm going to say net rating. The Kings starters, their net rating's a negative 0.9 in the first quarter this year. Negative 0.9 for a team whose overall net rating is a positive 0.8. There's an issue there. What's the issue? Not enough basketball, not enough movement. Clearly, Mike Brown was searching for answers. And mind you, this is a guy that just got extended. He had quote unquote job security. I guess you could argue the term job security, right? Because he got fired. He had guaranteed money behind what he was doing. If you can't even coach in a collaborative environment and bounce changes off of people, I mean, what would be the next move? Let's be honest about this. Let me ask all you, and we're going to get to the chat here in a second, but let me ask you, if you had to make a move to the starting lineup, and Monk's already in it, so you can't say that, what would the move have been? If you had to shift something out, to me, DeMar DeRozan's the obvious choice. That's just me. Makes the bench better, gets guys on the second unit easier and better looks. So he is the happiest guy in the world right now, and he should be in Mike Brown. Talk about toxic and talk about disconnected. How do you trade, or how do you fire this guy before the trade deadline? How do you do that? We're going to read this article here in a second. I think you might be a little surprised at the opinions of the front office and upper management when it comes to the construction of this roster. What I'm telling you is this is a dumpster fire. Now, there is one bright point in all this, and his name's Devin Carter. Devin Carter's been recalled by the Kings, which is really good. Again, Kings and Mavs tonight. Hopefully, you can join us for coverage right here on If You Don't Like That. We'll be here at halftime with Jerry Reynolds and post-game. By the way, great post-game show on Saturday. Incredible post-game show. Thank you. We had so many calls, first-time callers. We had somebody call in that was 15 years old. I love seeing young basketball fans engaged. It reminds me of myself, listening to Grant back in the day, listening to the others that I respected. So love it. Keep it coming. Keep the calls coming. We appreciate it so much. But really quick, before we go forward, I want to get to the chats because there have been moves made in the NBA. Obviously, D'Angelo Russell gone from the Lakers. Dorian Finney-Smith now with the Lake Show. Does that change anything? I completely disagree with you. I love Dave. I think he is the reason that station still exists. Him and Jason Ross. Couldn't disagree with you more. But you are entitled to your opinion. So fair enough. I'll throw mine in as well. You put Christie to tank. Yeah, see, that's another problem too. They fired, Mike Brown without thinking about who the successor is going to be. The plane had to wait for 30 minutes. Get out of here. Just get out of here. Omaris, what's up? Did you hear that NBA rumor about the Kings? Kings Insider says nobody wanted to fire Mike Brown. We're going to get into it. Yeah, we're going to read that article here in a second. And why I say De'Aaron Fox is a fraud, not only because of the last couple weeks and even the entire body of his time here in Sacramento, there's an argument to be made that Foxy has caused not nearly as many distractions as DeMarcus Cousins, but there's an argument to be made that he has caused more drastic distractions at a more critical time for the Beam team, the franchise, up and coming, that's now the Beam team. By the way, breaking news, Kings are about to get a $3,200 refund from SMUD for energy efficiency for not using the Beam. That coming through bssports.com. Yep, that's breaking news as well. But, Foxy, 3 of these 4 years, there's been issues. So we're going to get into all to it. Being in the playoffs 22-23, bringing in DeRozan, thought we would be better. We went a lot backwards compared to 22-23. I agree. Completely agree. The way they got rid, Coach Brown, from timing to firing him on the phone, they did him wrong. No doubt about it. We've covered it over the last 48 hours. The way it was handled, so incredibly unprofessional. And again, we need to read the article, and we're going to read it here together. So if you've already read it, I apologize. We're going to read it here together. I think it's that important. I think it's very important. What's the value of trading Fox or Sabonis? Grant and I disagree about Sabonis. I would not be, and it depends. There's levels to this, right? There are levels to whether this is a full-out rebuild or if this is a little bit of a recalibration. So if you're going full-out rebuild, I guess I would be open to the idea of trading Sabonis. But Grant thinks there would be a bigger market out there for Sabonis than I do. I think the market would be smaller for a couple of reasons. One, his pay. I think his pay is too high for a lot of the major players in the NBA. Maybe it wasn't when he signed the extension, but now with the new CBA into effect, that changes things for teams. That's why draft picks are so much more valuable today, because the NBA put in this, and the Players Association agreed to a CBA that limits your ability as a big franchise, in a major city, whatever you want to call it, big market, they're limiting your opportunity to do what the Heat did. They're limiting your opportunity to bring in 2, 3, 4 max players and then be able to still be the front runner for a guy that maybe gets traded at the trade deadline and cut by the team, like a Drew Holiday, for instance. And that wasn't at the trade deadline, but they put things in place to even the playing field. They're trying to distribute the talent a little bit more fair when it comes to the open market. And that's why the premium on being able to draft a player on a set pay scale and have basically 4 years to develop them, because almost every team will pick up the 4th year option. To be able to develop them in that time period, that's how you're going to get your team over here in the next 6-7 years this CBA is in existence. We're going to keep talking. We're going to get to this article in a second. Keep the comments coming. I appreciate them. There's a lot to go over today. Again, we're going until about 3:30. Grant's going to be here at 4 o'clock to take things over, so make sure that you join him as well. Let's go to the phones. Joe, welcome in today. Joe, you there?
Hey, Ryan. Big fan. Sorry, man.
You're
sorry
good, brother. You're good.
Uh,
What's going on, brother?
Gosh, man. I've been watching team all season. It's been terrible this season, but I think the 3-point shooting, Ryan, is a big problem. What do you think the Kings could do to kind of, facilitate in that end?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I really don't know. I think they're going to do more of what you saw in Los Angeles when it comes to making the floor a little bit more spaced. I think that's why Trey Lyles got so many looks under the hoop. But the looks aren't going to be easier per se. I think they're going to be more contested looks. I think you're going to have less of the pick and roll. You're going to have more down screens, flare screens, things of that nature. So I really think it's going to be quantity over quality, and guys just have to make shots, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And, Herter and Murray haven't been hitting them much this year, but thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate it, Joe. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Good job by Joe kicking us off. Again, you can call the show 916. Make sure I don't give out my number, 822-9485. Watching that line right now, the OWL hotline, or you can use this link if you would like to call in, getting you ready for the Kings and the Mavericks and talking about everything that's been going on the last 72 hours, the last week, really the last 3 weeks, this 6-game losing streak, which has been capped off now by Mike Brown's firing and a ton of national attention, a massive amount of attention. Okay, well, TC, bro. TC, man. This guy's something else. All right, call in the show, TC, if you want to call. Don't text me. Anyways, getting back to the national attention. The Kings have to do twice as much to get half the amount of positive attention that most big market teams do in the NBA. However, if you step in it in the least, you're going to get way more attention than some of those teams. And that's what's going on right now. Now, I think Ramona Shelburne did an excellent job with this article that she released. Let's go over it really quick. And I'm sorry if you've already seen it. I think it's important that we hit it, though. So here's this article from Ramona Shelburne that was released, by the way, front page of ESPN right now. And there's some important parts to it. I guess I will skim through the things that aren't as important to me, but nobody wanted to fire Mike Brown, end quote. What went so wrong for the Sacramento Kings? The article talks about how Coach Brown would text De'Aaron Fox a ton. Luke Laux does that at all. De'Aaron says, I feel like there's this perception that people thought we were at odds. Fox says, you can ask anybody in this organization. Me and Mike have never had an argument. We could disagree with something. We talked about it and it was gone. Okay. Again, two things can be true, in my opinion, at once. You might not have had an argument, but you also might not have handled criticism the right way. I mean, how much more can Coach Brown do if he's texting you 24/7? And to be completely honest, Coach Brown, in my eyes, what he did with the media, what he came out and said about De'Aaron, not after the Pistons game, but in practice about 7 to 10 days ago, where he's like, I know Fox can be a superstar. I want him to be a superstar. It's got to start with De'Aaron Fox. I'm paraphrasing there. That sent Fox into a tailspin. You can't be a superstar in the NBA and let something like that send you into a tailspin the way it did De'Aaron Fox, both with his comments on the podcast, his comments after games, specifically after the second Lakers loss and after the Pistons game. That's a problem. 3 weeks ago after practice, Fox said he and Brown had a heart-to-heart about where the team was and where they could both help the Kings out of what had grown into a 5-13 skid. Brown told Fox he believed Fox could become one of the best two-way players ever at his position, but he had to keep pushing himself. Quote, I was fine with that. End quote. No, you weren't. You could tell that to the media, your body reactions showed a completely different story. Your game, to me, showed a completely different story. Took it personal. I get there's this fine line in the NBA about calling players out, but if that's what this team and De'Aaron Fox perceives as being called out, good luck. Like, I'm sorry. Have you not played basketball your entire career, your entire life? Did you not play AAU? Did you not go through the recruiting process? Did you not go through the draft process? You call that calling you out? De'Aaron goes on to compare. He was either in this article or it was in a soundbite. In fact, I thought De'Aaron, let's take a pause really quick. Here was De'Aaron. I actually really liked this answer. He was asked after the game. Do you remember his comments about the team needing to find joy playing basketball again? Here was De'Aaron being asked the same question as a follow-up after the Lakers game, but the reporter left off basketball. How do you find joy?
How do you keep your joy?
Say again?
How do you keep your joy?
How do I keep my joy? I mean, things outside of basketball. I mean, I love to play the game, but I go home, I have my wife, I have my 2 kids, I have my best friend I play the game with all the time. Like, you know, this is I want to say a small part of life, but obviously we spend so much time in here. But when I go home, my kids don't care what happened when I came here. Your question was how I keep my joy, not how I keep my joy playing basketball. So when I step out of here, Rain doesn't look at me or care if I had 40 or if I had 5. So if he doesn't care, I can't go home, and I don't take that home.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I can respect that. I can totally respect that. No problem with that. Sabonis does the same thing. Kings Court, you are on the air. Kings Court.
Hello?
Yeah, Kings Court, you're on the air.
Oh, my bad. Hey, Rhino, what's up, bro? This is TC.
What up, TC?
Hey, what's up, big dog? Hey, short and sweet, bro. So the move, it shouldn't have been done with Mike Brown, right? Mike Brown had his faults, but it shouldn't have been done, bro. You know how I feel. So the next domino is the Trey Fox, period, point blank, hands down. Mike's gone, so Fox has to be gone, and you got to move forward and find out what you going to do with Monte McNair. Monte, I'm not – Monte, you've been doing a bunch of weird, like, bro, we got to move on, period. We got to move on from Fox, get a haul, and surround around Monk, Sabonis, and Devin Carter. I've seen enough from Devin Carter, right? Like I told you. I've seen enough from that dude. I'm going to see a little more, but what I've seen coming off a shirt, it's a G League. You know, it's G League. NBA is different, but it still got NBA players in the G League trying to work up to get the G League. So I'm not going to, like, go from G League to NBA. If you a baller, you a baller, and I've seen enough from that dude. Dropping 30, 8 assists, and when I was just watching him, how he moves, how he plays defense, passing the ball, like playing off the ball, then with the ball in his hand, a playmaker. Like, I like what I've seen from that kid, bro. So moving on from Fox and making that guy the dude at the one, I'm all for it, bro. But right now, moving forward right now, that's the next domino. Everybody wants to know the next domino effect. It's only two ways. It's either Vivek is going to say, money, you're out of here, or the one that's 10 times out of 10 the right move, and that's moving on from number 5, bro, and keeping it trucking. That's all I got.
Appreciate you, TC. Happy New Year's, brother. Oh, TC hung up on me. He ran me. All right, TC. See how it is. No, De'Aaron Fox does not have the instincts of those people you mentioned. And by the way, let's make this clear. This is not just a De'Aaron Fox conversation. There is a lot more that many other people on this team could be doing. And that extends not just on the team, but the organization. And TC mentioning Monte McNair, we're getting to him in a second. I think that is probably the most troubling thing to me from this article. And we're going to keep reading it. DeMarcus would have done more with this amount of talent than Fox, 100%. We'll never know. We'll see. The Kings seem intent on trying to appease fans with nostalgia by putting former Kings players in their best years. It is a little funny how they come back, right? I'm not going to lie about that, but it's common too. It's very common in every market, so I'm not going to knock Vivek. But what's weird about Vivek is, and Grant harps on this all the time, the be less celebrities, it's weird to me, just wanting to be courtside with all these people. Like, there's so many times Vivek has a guest at a game, and it's like, holy crap, I thought that person was dead. What's that person doing? I haven't seen them in 10 years. You know, and center court taking pictures. You remember 50 Cent? He was asked who his favorite player was on the Kings, and I think he mentioned somebody on the other team. It's stuff like that that's so bizarre to me. But the Monty element here, that's what worries me the most. That is, especially when you are at a point with this team. I mean, this team is
struggling
really bad, but you're at the crossroads of what is either, again, a rebuild. Here's the best case. I'm going to give you 3 scenarios. A recalibration, which means you make a good deal for De'Aaron Fox. A deal that benefits this team a little bit in the short term, but definitely in the long term. The second is a complete rebuild. You trade De'Aaron Fox. Maybe you trade more than De'Aaron Fox. Somebody brought up Sabonis. I don't think Sabonis's market is as big because of the CBA. And as great as he is, yes, he's one of those unicorn centers in the NBA. There's only 3 of them, and he's the second best at playing that style. You have to do one of 2 things. You have to build around them, number 1, or you have to basically play a system and play an offense that really plays to their strengths. And I can tell you with the Kings, the crash zones watching the Lakers game appeared to be gone to me. Not like they were when Mike Brown was coaching. But if you're going to be shooting a ton of threes and you're going to be a jump shooting team, do you know what that means most times? That means long rebounds. It's not one of those things where Sabonis is going to be under the hoop and swallowing up the ball. He'll get a couple of those a game, but not like he was last season, the season before, and definitely at times this season. Now, Sabonis bears some of the blame here as well. I think his turnovers early in the season were bad. He's felled out way too many times this season, which, you know, at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge, I don't think De'Aaron Fox, I don't think Domantas Sabonis, and I don't think DeMar DeRozan believed they would be playing the minutes they would play early on. Remember, 4 of the 5 Kings starters were in the top 11 in the NBA in minutes after 20 games this season. That's pretty high. That is pretty high that early in the season. So we have a recalibration, a rebuild, and then you have something in the middle. And if you do something in the middle, that's the scariest option of all. That's where, okay, we trade Keegan Murray, maybe Malik Monk, we keep Fox, maybe we do something with Devin Carter. If you play the middle, that's where this rebuild could get completely drug out, prolonged, and predominantly the person that's going to be in Vivek Ranadive's ears, we're going to read in a second about moves to make, how to make them, what's a good deal, what's a bad deal, I should say the persons, are Monte McNair and Wes Wilcox. Obviously, they played a massive role in what's gone down. And the fact that Vivek has blinders on, Grant talks about, I should say, Vivek not knowing much about basketball. This article makes it pretty clear. I mean, really clear. So let's go on, keep reading this really quick. We'll keep going to the chat. Appreciate everybody being here. Don't forget, you can call the show using the link right here. And you can also call 916-822-9485. Napes is back at 4 o'clock. Join him. Who you got tonight in the college football playoff? Hoping Boise wins. Who you got, though? You going to be watching that? Obviously, Kings, Mavericks tonight. We haven't talked a bit about the NFL yet. We're going to keep it Kings today, but a ton going on. Grant will be here for it at 4 p.m. Make sure you join him then. All right, let's dive back into this really quick. Quote, De'Aaron Fox. He says, I didn't want another coach when he was I don't want another coach. This summer, when management consulted with Fox before awarding Brown a 3-year, $25.5 million extension, Fox gave his blessing saying, I don't want another coach. So here's the question I'm going to ask. Is it logical that you would ask De'Aaron Fox about Mike Brown's extension, but you wouldn't ask De'Aaron Fox about letting coach go? Are the Kings trying to paint a picture? Is De'Aaron trying to paint a narrative? And I'm not saying he is. Are they sheltering De'Aaron with this? That he was not involved? He very well may not be involved, but it's really hard to buy into that, especially when we saw him all but give up in the game against Detroit. Do I need to remind you? I mean, it was bad. That ball is in the air. And he's flat-footed. So, there's that element to it. The most troubling element, by far, we are about to get to. So in less than 2 years, the Kings have gone from one of the best stories in basketball, making the playoffs in Brown's first year and lighting up Sacramento skyline after each win with the gleaming new Golden One Center to holding 12th place in the West after acquiring DeMar DeRozan. By the numbers, things looked fine. The Kings offense ranks 8th in the NBA, 5 spots better than last season. The defense is 16th, just 2 slots worse, but they kept blowing big leads and losing close games despite having 2 of the most proven clutch players in the league, Fox and DeRozan. And Fox and Keegan Murray consistently rank among the best on-ball defenders in the league. So why wasn't that translating to better defense? For weeks, everyone hoped this was just a stretch of bad luck, that the shooting numbers, in particular, Fox and Murray's, would go up, that Brown's attention to detail in film sessions and practice would translate to play on the court, both in game situations and in general. Brown pushed them hard behind the scenes and publicly. Several of his news conferences ended up going viral. We don't need to go over what those were. We know about the possession after possession after possession, the laptop last year, quote unquote. You can't So this is an important source or an important statement. Quote, end quote, you can't throw your team under the bus like that. One league source says, as the losses mounted throughout November and December, 14 of the past 20, and the Kings fell further back in the Western Conference, the front office started looking for answers. The Kings inquired about Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram, Cam Thomas, Kyle Kuzma. League sources said they looked at smaller moves, quote, just to change things up. As one source put it, they even asked Brown. They asked Brown if there were moves to make with the roster or the staff that might help. A source says, quote, nobody wanted to fire Mike. One Kings source said, by the way, if you're going to go this far, and you're going to give these quotes to this article, and this is going to be on the front page of ESPN.com, put your damn name to it. Is there any doubt where this is coming from? Where do you think this is coming from? I can tell you where I think it's coming from, and it seems pretty evident as this article goes on. They looked at the smaller moves. They even asked Brown about moves. Quote unquote, nobody wanted to fire Mike. He's a good coach. People here really care about him until the very last moment. We were trying to make it work. Here's where it gets interesting. That's why sources said the Kings let Brown handle the team's film session and practice Friday morning following the Detroit loss before informing him of the decision to fire him while he was on his way to the airport to fly with the team to Los Angeles. General manager Monte McNair convened. You got the legal guy here. Do I need to start breaking down individual words? I won't. But Monte McNair convened. So he organized, scheduled, called to order several calls and meetings with associate GM Wes Wilcox, team president Matina. I'm not even going to go there with team president and Vivek Radadive throughout the Kings' disastrous 0-5 homestand. Sources said after the loss to the Indiana Pacers, Radadive flew out of the country for Christmas and wasn't present for the Detroit game. We know what happened there. And when they all got in touch late Thursday night, it was resolved to sleep on it and talk again in the morning. The call began as the team was starting film session. It led to a few more calls and then finally a decision. McNair called Brown while he was driving to the airport. We know about that. It was a somber call, sources said. Monte McNair, Wes Wilcox said. It was a somber call between two men who had been riding so high together less than 2 years earlier, as Brown unanimously was voted the league's coach of the year. The decision and the execution of the move drew criticism from around the league. We know about what the other coaches, Jordi Fernandez, Mike Malone, etc., have said. After informing Brown, Wilcox, and McNair called Fox, DeRozan, and Sabonis. Fox and DeRozan were getting ready to head to the airport. Sabonis was home sick and missed the call. None of them were consulted on the decision. Quote unquote, that team has plenty of talent. One source with knowledge of the team said the roster is fine. They had to make a change. The article goes on to talk about Doug being named as interim coach. Quote, teams just got to adjust to us. End quote. Kings guard Malik Monk said Saturday when asked what has changed in the 2 seasons since the Kings went 48 and 46, or won 48 and 46 in the Western Conference. Quote, they were surprised when we first came out with Mike, didn't know how we were playing, didn't know how we were going to play, and now just feel like they had time to adjust and get used to it. That's fair. That's fair criticism. Now, the pick and roll, Malik Monk in the starting lineup, that has been much different. That was an adjustment by Coach Brown. So here's the picture that's painted. This is the picture that I'm seeing. And let's point this fact out. There has been a narrative by some out there here in Sacramento that Coach Brown and Monte McNair weren't always on the same page. That's not from me. That's an open narrative that has been out there. And the reason that that has been out there is because of certain roster moves, certain draft picks, lack of roster moves. Mike Brown, defensive coach, right? Who are the defensive players that Monte McNair has brought in for Mike's system? So there's that narrative certainly out there. But it seems like the reality to this is you've got Mike Brown, who is staying at the facility. I know this. I know this because I talked to somebody that is right there. Mike has been staying later this year, later this year than any other year with the Kings. Now, does he get extra credit for that? No. Does it matter in the grand scheme of things? No. Is it good for optics to the players? Sure. First guy in, last guy out. We hear that all the time in sports. But you've got Mike Brown, who was scrambling. He was trying to transform this team. He was trying, like a mad scientist, to write everything on the board and find a formula that might be different. And when you take a step back, you saw it in the rotations. You saw it in certain decisions. Doug McDermott playing 18 minutes, going 1 for 4. Keon Ellis not playing until garbage time. That's how desperate Coach Brown seemed to be. Now, there's certainly, and we can have this conversation, a big argument to be made about Coach Brown not making simple adjustments, things that maybe you see, things that I see, things that other teams see and target. Yes, those things are there. So Mike Brown's hands are not completely clean here. There were simple mistakes, but mind you, it's an 82-game season. Mistakes happen. I'm okay with mistakes as long as you don't make the same mistake again. When mistakes become trends, that's when it becomes a problem. Because trends then turn into losing streaks. And the Kings have lost 6 in a row, 14 of the last 20. But what really bothers me here, what's really got me a little uneasy, is how much influence Monte McNair seemed to have over this situation. There's no point of playing a blame game. There's no point to say, well, Mike Brown, he was way more culpable than Monte McNair. What's the use? But I think there's certainly more than enough meat on the bone if you wanted to have that discussion about who was at blame more for what's going on with this team. Let's call it 2.5 years of the Beam team. That's what it is. It's 2.5 years. There is more than enough meat to have that argument. And some might say Monte McNair, glass house a little bit. Guy's done great with I'm going to use a baseball analogy. I've been using it on this show now for close to a month. Monte McNair either hits a home run or he strikes out. Nothing in between. It's either a home run or it is a strikeout. And it's the little things. It's the singles. It's the doubles. It's the walks. It's the smaller moves that make your team better incrementally. It's those little things. Talk all the time about the Lakers 2 years ago, the Mavericks last year. Kings have been so poor there. What I'm saying is this entire collapse was not on Mike Brown. And that is certainly what I take from this article, that there might be this perception. There might be this perception that Monty has put Mike Brown in the Ritz-Carlton of coaching with the roster that he has. That Mike Brown was in first class with the players at his disposal. And that is far, far, far from the truth. And what worries me a little bit more is that same guy, him and Wes Wilcox, those same guys, if they're convening meetings about Mike Brown's future with the owner, guess what? This rebuild, it's in their hands. What they do with Fox, it's in their hands. Do you have much confidence after what we have seen this year, what we've seen the last month? Let's get your reaction. LeBron to LA. LeBron to Kobe, LA. All right. The GM didn't talk to the best players. That's crazy. By the way, I did say De'Aaron Fox clapped back. Transparency. This was De'Aaron's post on X. There was never any pushback about anything. This narrative of us butting heads or me going to management saying anything is bull.
Struggling.
So you can run with that if you want to. That was in response to the NBA Central soundbite that we heard. Brenden Nunes also put out a really good tweet that we're going to talk about with Monte McNair. Alex, what's going on today? Very shocking in just one of those weird seasons. Nothing went right. Injuries all season to main key players. Yes, next man up. They don't make excuses, but not having CMC, Ayuk, Bosa, Greenlaw. Okay, so really quick, it's funny that you're talking about the Niners. It's really funny that we could draw this line. If this season continues the way that it is, who will have had a more disappointing season? Probably the Niners, because they were supposed to win the Super Bowl. But can you believe both of these teams had such high excitement around them? I'm not going to say expectations, excitement from their fan bases. Absolutely insane. Yes, Charles, let me know. Are boos coming tonight? Because I'm for it. If you want to boo, boo. Do it. I think it's deserved. I think it's deserved for Vivek. And that's why I said before we read the article, he has no idea. If he's listening to Monte McNair, let's put Brenden Nunes' tweet up really quick. If he's listening to Monte McNair, oh, that's my tweet. Did I not get Brendan's up here? I know I put it in here. Where are we at? Brenden, where's your tweet at? Here it is. Okay, let's look at Brendan's tweet. Also, how about McNair and Wilcox using 3 of their 4 first-round picks on guards? Tyrese Halliburton, Davion Mitchell, and Devin Carter, who we're going to talk about in a second. The only pick I found especially crazy was Davion, but I wonder if your star point guard is loving those positional picks. Probably not. Look at how the Halliburton thing played out. De'Aaron is sensitive. It's not new knowledge. Can be sensitive, I should say. And certainly if what Coach Brown said about him being a superstar and his criticism of that last play against the Pistons, if that was enough to lose the team or upset the team, then guess what, Sacktown? Our team's soft. They soft. If that was enough, they soft. Not good. But back to McNair. Vivek is letting that guy convene meetings about Mike Brown's future? Halliburton, home run. Davion Mitchell. But what was Davion supposed to be? Was that maybe Mike Brown's pick? Was that the defensive guard? Was that a Mike Brown pick? Maybe. We don't know. Keegan Murray? I would say a triple. Devin Carter? We don't know yet. 3 of the 4 point guards, that's for sure. To me, that's not great roster construction. In fact, it's bad roster construction. I get that you want to draft best player available, but when you have Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox, why is there no consideration about style? Why is there no consideration about holes on the roster? Because Dalton Connect may have very well been the best available player in the position of need for the Kings. Now, to Devin Carter, a young man that I am super excited about. Yeah, look, I think Monty's going to take some too. This article is, for me, a really bad look. Ramona Shelburne did an excellent job. Great job by Ramona Shelburne. Go give her some love. Cancer survivor, by the way. Great article by her. But is there any question where this source is at? Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was only 2 people on the phone when Mike Brown got fired, right? Monte McNair and Mike Brown. So, speaking of Monte McNair, place things close to the vest, pun intended. Stuff doesn't leak out of a Monte McNair front office. You're usually surprised. You don't see things coming, like the Halliburton for Sabonis trade. You're telling me that somehow that information about the phone call with Mike Brown leaked to people in the organization? I highly doubt it. Logic tells you this came from this source is somewhere around the front office. And good for Ramona. Good for her. Put your damn name to the article. Just come out and speak. Give it a quote. Monty, Wes, whoever it was that's with the front office. I mean, why would there be any reason to share details? Or it's from Mike Brown. Do you think Mike Brown shared the details of the conversation and then he magically found out that there was meetings going on for a month over the phone convened by Monte McNair that didn't include him? You think Mike would share that? Let's rule Mike out. This is from the Sacramento front office. They knew this fan base is unsettled. They knew this fan base is angry. Vivek's been taking it the last 72 hours. Taking it really bad. You guys have said talks of booing, right? That's been brought up. Silence has been brought up. You got to do something. You can't have De'Aaron Fox booed. And that's probably what would have happened tonight had this article not came out. In fact, it may still happen tonight. But to me, this is a save face for this organization in its eyes. This is how we calm the fan base. This is how we shift any blame. That's what this is to me. And more importantly, that guy, Monte McNair, who I think is a decent GM. Again, home runs or strikeouts, nothing in between. Decent GM. There are so many questions around what he's done, what he hasn't done. He's so rarely available to the media. Rarely. This bench, this depth. You know what happens? You know how a bench like this happens? It's an accumulation of no moves. It's an accumulation of hesitancy. You don't just wake up and have the second worst bench in the NBA. That means your attention is focused elsewhere. And you know where it's focused? Right there at the starting lineup. That's why you saw the starters play as many minutes as they do. I know there's been injuries, but even without injuries, and let's take Devin Carter out of that scenario. I'm talking about the guys that were ready to play this season. Even without the injuries, this was still a problem, a massive problem. And now Monte McNair and Wes Wilcox, this rebuild to me is in their hands. The future, the next 5 years, I'm going to say 5 years, the next 5 years of Kings basketball is in Monte McNair and Wes Wilcox's hands. That's scary to me. And Vivek, what do you say? I don't know what to say. Coach Brown, any coach, if it was Coach Brown, if it was, I don't care who it was, they were behind the 8 ball. So what do coaches do? They coach. What do coaches do? They're paid to come up with solutions. They're paid to look ahead and plan. And you obviously can't do that without criticism, without worrying about your job here in Sacramento. If Monte McNair had given Mike Brown an amazing team, and this is where we're at, you know what? And I'm still, I still am in the camp that I understand why Coach Brown was fired. I get it. I get why he was fired. My problem is the way this is handled. And now my problem is with this article. You know how they say everybody's got to have a fall guy? Mike Brown was the fall guy for this. This article is supposed to be the fall guy for the anger that's being directed, the discontent, the heartburn that's being directed at Vivek Ranadive, being directed at De'Aaron Fox, being directed at the players. This was supposed to be the fall for that, to make it better. So I ask you, did it make it better? Did it make it worse? And man, am I worried about what's going to happen in the next, 5.5 weeks before the trade deadline? 5.5 weeks. We're going to shift gears in a second. We're going to keep getting your reaction in here as well. But first, want to tell you about, you guys know, did anybody make it to Bennett's this weekend? Please tell me you made it out there for brunch. Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland, third location in the greater Sacramento area, the newest of the 3 locations, prime cuts of seafood and steak. Bennett's has a little something for everybody. You craving an awesome New York prime steak? They're your place. And they bring it out man style right there on a cutting board too. You get to pick your steak before it's cooked. Also, seafood, incredible. The blackened redfish, so good. And I know it sounds a little weird, redfish. It's not actually red like Grant's hair. It's really good. It's blackened. Side of spinach, sauteed, some lemon, incredible stuff. Awesome salads, fresh soups. Also, some locations have great baked items that are made home fresh. And if you got a party coming up, if you're having a gathering, think about Bennett's, whether it's in the restaurant or outside the restaurant. In the restaurant, they have private dining rooms that you can reserve. Outside of the restaurant, they'll do all the work for you. In fact, here's Brian Bennett tell you a little more.
I don't know about you, but if you're thinking about having a holiday party or a party of any kind, and you don't ask us to make our house smoked salmon, to grill our prime New York steak, to grill long stem artichokes, to make ahi pokey. What are you talking about? You're going to have a party and you're not going to call Bennett's and take care of you? My goodness gracious. Give us a call. We can make this for Easter. We can make it for Christmas. We can make it for anybody's.
Darn right they can. Give him a call. Get the numbers at Bennett'sRestaurants.com. That is Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring today's episode of the King's Court. If you wouldn't mind, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a retweet. Really helps us out with the algorithm. We're here all the time. We've got content almost every single day between Grant and myself. Tonight we will be back for pregame, halftime with Jerry Reynolds, and postgame. And thank you, by the way. A couple of weeks ago, I was like, if you want to do something nice for us over this holiday season, tell one person about the show that might not know about the show. Just let them know. Give it a try. And the numbers have been through the roof on the channel as of late, and that's because of all you. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. And this channel is only as good as you all make it. Your contributions, chats, calls, keep it coming. We love it. And then don't forget also King's Court podcast. You're here on the live show. Also, we've got the podcast. The audio from this goes up on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. But you also get exclusive podcasts over there, Kings Insider stuff, things that I've talked about, things that I'm hearing, people I've talked to, also exclusive interviews as well. So make sure that you go check out the King's Court there as well. Comments coming here in another few minutes. But first, Devin Carter, let's talk about him. He had a big night. He had his first game action since the Big East tournament, playing for the Stockton Kings on Saturday at the Golden One Center. He poured in over 30 points. Can you believe that? Devin played really well, shot the three ball well, 6 of 9 from beyond the arc. I had talked to somebody before that game, and they had said that Devin's play down there in terms of frequency, how many games he would be with Stockton or how much he would play with Stockton would completely depend on him and his body and how he responds to full practices in that first game action. Well, obviously his body has responded okay because the Kings have recalled him from Stockton. He is available for them now. Whether he plays tonight or not, that'll be up to head coach Doug Christie. But Devin, talk to the media after the game on Saturday, and here's a little bit of what he had to say about the shoulder, how it's feeling, and his mindset. I think you're going to be really excited about this kid. He comes in with experience. He's built well, and whether you realize it or not, there is a big benefit to him if he's used this time wisely, and I'm sure, I have no indication that he hasn't, but being able to sit back for the first half of the season as a rookie and travel with the team, get into the groove of things with the team, really learn things about players, where they like the ball at, what their spots are, etc. That could be extremely beneficial. And the fact that he is the son of an NBA veteran, that makes it 2 times more valuable because he understands the grind. He grew up around the grind. He gets it. So here was Devin after the game on Saturday?
Nah, I think it was a 6 month. I think it was just like a 6 month minimum, I think. But my body heals pretty fast. So that's all I'm gonna say to that.
Good news there from Devin. He has been through this before. He had his other one done in high school. Here's Devin again after the game.
I think it was Jameer. He bumped me hard, and I was a little nervous to take the bump, but that's why I didn't like try to bump back, and I kind of got babied. But it is what it is. Definitely a good play though. But yeah, I mean, just like I said, just scared to go for a few rebounds, go up for a rebound, the arm go back, stuff like that. Because I already had the same surgery on my right shoulder. So honestly, just I know what comes with it. But, slowly, gradually working my way back to doing reps that I usually do.
Tom, appreciate you watching all the way in Omaha. Good stuff. Thank you for being here. Devin again.
Definitely a long season ahead of me. Obviously I missed the summer, missed the first 30 games, whatever it's been, but definitely looking forward to get out there with my brothers. Been working hard, extremely hard in rehab. But no, I feel like I did pretty good. I haven't played organized 5-on-5 basketball since March, since the Big East tournament. So definitely was just excited to get out there. I wouldn't say a little nervous, just a little anxious, to show everybody what I could do, what I bring to the table, and hopefully get some more wins here in Sacktown.
And if it wasn't for the offense, Allen Iverson wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. You can't do that, Afghanistan. Come on, can't do that. Be better. Devin Carter, one last time.
Close to 100. That's what I can tell you. Honestly, the thing with me now is just getting back in shape. I think that's what led down the stretch. Not scoring. I don't think I scored in the fourth quarter, but I think that's what led to that. Just me just getting back in shape, being tired. Back starts to get tight and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
Yo, Horse, I know what you're trying to do there, my man. I get it. But unless you are from Sacktown, you don't get it. This fan base is tough enough. We already have enough toughness. I can tell you that, Horse. Hands down, we have enough toughness. It just, you can't, to be teased the way this fan base has been teased, and to come into this season feeling like you were going to be closer to a Dallas, closer to an Oklahoma City, closer to a Denver, closer to a Phoenix. And now you're a game back or a game ahead of Portland. That's rough. So I get the expectations, but for this city to break that streak and to be where we're at now, it's really hard to get it. It's just different when you're a Kings fan. It's different.
Let's go see a porno.
Horse, don't say that. Come on, Horse, man. Keep it clean here on the Kings court. So there's the Western Conference. That's Devin Carter for you. I saw somebody say he's not playing tonight. Whether he plays tonight or not, at least he is on the way. That is what is most important with him. And, you talk about something that could push Foxy, because what's going to push Fox now? Guy's got the money. Got the family. Staring another big contract in the face. If Mike Brown texting him 24/7 could not push Fox, you think Doug Christie's going to do it? Do you think losing basketball games is going to do it? No. But somebody like Devin Carter might do it. Now, not saying Devin's capable of taking Fox's job or grabbing some of those minutes. Who knows? Maybe. Likely, probably not. But Devin Carter could push Fox very well. We'll see. Blame Monte McNair. But it seems Mike Brown's coaching went downhill some this year after he received his extension. It was, this Niners parallel is actually a good one in this sense that the preseason really bled in to the regular season. And in the Niners case, it wasn't just the preseason and training camp. It was also the off season. Now, the Kings didn't have, actually, the Kings probably had, this is bad to say, but the Kings probably had their best off season of the last 3 years. If you think about it, you get DeRozan, you re-sign Monk. That's huge. I think where this thing started to get a little shaky, where I think the car started to come out of the lane a little bit, is when the team extended Sabonis the summer after making the playoffs. Sabonis wasn't going to go anywhere. He was still going to be here in Sacktown. He's a small market guy. It's all he's played for in his career. Indiana, Oklahoma City. He really liked it here, liked the style of play. There was no indication that there was a rush or a push from his camp to get an extension. And this whole thing about pay, too, I think that plays into it a little bit. I shouldn't say I think it does. I could see it playing into it with Foxy because Sabonis is making significantly more money than Fox over the long run of their contracts. But re-signing Sabonis that offseason, that's money that could have been spent somewhere else. When the West got better, the fact that this team didn't have enough foresight to realize that they were by a mile the healthiest team in the NBA the year they made the playoffs and won 48 games, to sit there and say, this is good enough, let's run it back. That's where, if we were going to Monday morning quarterback this thing, I think that is where we have to start. I'll give Monty that first trade deadline, or the trade deadline in 22-23, I should say. I'll give him that. I get why you didn't make a move there. But that summer, again, it has to go both ways. There has to be players that want to come here and teams that want to trade with you. But that, to me, is where somebody should have said, hold on. We think we're that good that we can run it back? Because we have to realize this, and Grant said it, and I'm with it, that we act like there's a shield, there's a layer of common sense and basketball knowledge that separate the GM and the owner. There's not. This owner knows nothing about basketball. Not necessarily his fault. You don't need to know stuff about basketball to be an owner. You need to be rich. But if you're an owner, you also probably, if you're that rich, you've ran a business at some point. You've been in business. You know what to do and what not to do, what to delegate and what to keep for yourself. And, that buffer, there is none. So if you have Monte McNair, if you have Mike Brown, if you have De'Aaron Fox coming right to you, and saying, this is good enough. This is good enough. Let's run it back. I'm convinced 48 this year. It could have been 54 this year if we wouldn't have done A, B, C, D, and E. Trust me, we can get 60 with this team, Vivek. You see how easily that could happen? I don't want to say Vivek is gullible, but he doesn't have the right person in place to filter that for him, to vet that for him. Scary stuff. All right, let's go to the phones really quick. Got a couple of calls. Alex, what's up, my man?
What's going on, Rhino? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, brother?
Good, good. I brought back the hair for the fans, without gel, so I can get more hatred,
There you go.
But so I did want to comment a little bit. The more that stuff comes out, the more it's hard to believe a lot of things that are coming out. I do think sometimes Sacramento's like the stepchild that people like to step on and rub their fingers on and pile on when things get low. And more specifically, I love Fox, but I don't really believe him when he's saying that, oh, me and Mike were good. There was no problems. Everything was all good. I don't really believe that just because of the actions that have been going on. And I also don't really believe when they say they called Sabonis, Fox, and DeRozan to tell them he was fired. I think they were already notified, like, hey, these are going on. I think they were talking to, maybe they were part of the meetings, because at the end of the day, they're only going to tell us what they want us to know. That's everything. So I don't believe everything going out there. Also, I did want to add, I don't know if it's news to you, but it was news to me. During all this stuff, I was listening to you guys, of course, listening to like the Deuce and Mo's, the Sean Cunninghams, all those guys. I was listening to D'Lo and KC, which I don't listen to often, but I was listening to them because there was stuff going on. And D'Lo had said that they were told that Sabonis had an issue with Mike Brown, and then they just stopped talking about it. And I was like, did he just say that? And then a lot of the people in the comments in the live chat were saying, hey, did he just say Sabonis and Mike Brown had an issue? So then I personally, I'm like, oh, I have time. I'm on break. I'm going to DM him. So I DM'd him and I asked him, hey, man, if it's on me, if I heard that wrong, but did you say that they had tension, Mike and Sabonis?
Hey, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop you.
Go ahead.
I don't want you to share your DMs here because I don't know if they know you're sharing your DMs.
Yeah, and I'm paraphrasing. I asked him too, like, hey, can I like show this? Because this is kind of big information you guys just passed over. He's like, and if you want me to say it, I can. If you don't want me to, I won't. It was very vague though.
Okay, so what was the reaction?
So basically, like I asked them again, paraphrasing, hey, that was kind of big. You guys brushed over it. Is there truth to that? Did I hear you wrong? And all he said was, oh yeah, you heard it right. We just didn't report on it. We probably will now that this came out. And that's all he said. So I'm like, okay, I respect that. Thank you. But to me, if that's what happened, that's a pretty big story, So I don't know. That's kind of crazy. If you wanted me to prove it to you off air, I could. Because
Alex, I don't need your proof. It's not a big jump. I mean, look, here's what we need to realize. Guys are gonna have problems with their coaches. Like it's regular. In fact, I would argue if everything is always hunky-dory and you don't have a problem with a guy at some point, it's how you handle the problem. Like if you don't have the problems, then you're not really getting to where you need to get to. Sabonis, I talked about this last week when they lost to Detroit. He dropped a little crumb with the media about, and maybe that was why the question was asked, but Sean Cunningham, I believe, asked the question to Sabonis, are you surprised you played 31 minutes tonight? Or was it 31 or 33? And something Sabonis said, yeah, he was surprised. And to me, that was like, oh, okay. Because Sabonis usually plays a lot. Obviously, he was dealing with an ankle and his back at the time, and that's why he was a game time decision. But to hear him say that, I'm like, all right, maybe, he's a little irked about the minutes. And I wouldn't blame him. He's getting his ass beat out there. I get that. And here's the other thing. If you're Sabonis, I think there's part of him. Some people, some basketball players, I should say, are just wired differently. Sorry, y'all. The sun's starting to come through the studio. I'm going to shimmy over this way. Some basketball players are just wired differently, where they really like the dirtiness. They like doing the little things, the hustle, all that stuff. And Sabonis has a little bit of that to him, but you don't exactly play to his strengths all the time. And they started to do that towards the end of Mike Brown's time here with the pick and roll a lot more. But, there's not a ton that they're doing to really elevate him. And there certainly was not a lot that they did. And granted, he needs to play better, but there was not a lot that they did in Los Angeles in the first game under Doug Christie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree on that. And I guess another point too that I guess kind of stood out to me hearing all these things are, excuse me, we haven't heard any Kings player just say or even tweet out or say, "Oh man, Mike was our guy. We shouldn't have let him go." You know what I mean? And I know our team isn't really vocal, and players do that. The more vocal players, but that kind of stood out too. So again, I don't think we know everything, obviously, but it might be more than just the Kings made a dumb move and the Kings are the Kings. You know what I mean? Trying to just see both sides of the spectrum. I know it's easy to just pile on it, and that might be the case. But I think there is more to it, and we probably will find more stuff coming out in the next coming days, weeks, and months.
Yeah, you probably will as time goes along. I think the article to me compounds it so bad. It just seems like that is coming from somebody that's in that front office, that quote unquote source of Ramona Shelburne. So, if you take anything from that article, take this: that Monte McNair clearly has Vivek Ranadive's ear. Like
no,
there is no heat on Monte McNair. If you're talking about firing the coach and there's no pushback about him, if Monte McNair's convening meetings about Mike Brown, I wonder what Mike Brown or Monte McNair, Vivek Ranadive would have done had Mike Brown said, "Hey, Vivek, I want to convene a meeting about your general manager. I've got two-way players on my bench that are getting minutes because I have no depth. I have two guys that weren't in the NBA to start the season that are on my bench and getting minutes."
Not only getting minutes, but they started a few games too. So,
it's crazy to me, and I'm not trying to smear Monty. Again, I get you got to do your job, and I'm not saying Mike Brown didn't deserve to be fired. He did, but the way that they handled it, and now this article, and trying to make sure there's no blame on Fox, make sure there's no blame on Vivek. It just, I don't know. Different.
See,
Alex, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That point you just said right now, not to blame Fox. I kind of think that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When I'm kind of thinking that there's more to it. When they said that they called DeRozan, Sabonis, Fox, I think, yeah, they did call them, but I think they're protecting them where they said, "Oh, we called them afterwards." I think they were notified beforehand, to be honest. And there probably have been prior discussions. And again, that's just me thinking. I don't think there's truth to every single thing that's out there. But who knows? We all have opinions. So
yep, that's what's the beauty of it. That's why we have shows like this. Appreciate you, brother. All right, that is Alex. All right. Oops, sorry, lost you. We're getting ready to wrap the show up here in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because Napes will be here. Make sure you join him. I shifted because of the sun. If Grant Napier sees a spot of sun on my shirt, I'm going to hear about it. That is one of the broadcasting rules that he has taught me. So that is why I am off center. Better to be off center than have some sunlight on me. But join him 4 p.m. Grant will be right here with you, taking over and getting you ready for tonight, talking about this article and talking about college football, the NFL. Tons to talk about. Yep, I'm in trouble. You know what? Just enjoy the sunlight. There we go. Let's just soak it up. Corn Dog. What's up, my man? How you doing?
Well, I got to say I went to the game Mike Brown got fired for.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I went to the Pistons game.
Were you one of the guys booing?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts on that game. But one good positive is the buddy I took to, it was his first time at Golden One. He loved it, and we got Gym Boys right outside the arena. It was his first time, and he absolutely loved Gym Boys.
Nice.
So some positive from that game. Gym Boy's got another fan. That's always a good thing in this channel.
Absolutely. We don't have enough time to lay out the story, but next time take him to Bennett's. That's a better one.
Oh yeah, and that's gonna be one where he might have to get me back for buying the tickets.
For sure. So what's up today? You wanna weigh in on the Kings talk?
Actually, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Because this team, for some reason, just did not put away the Pistons. Like, we were always around that 15 to 18 point margin of lead. And I was just like, come on, hit that 20 something, guys. Come on, just put them away. Let's go home. And they just couldn't find a way to do it. Keegan started off really hot. He got benched, and then he just went ice cold from that moment. I've seen it happen even last season where Keegan's hot, he gets benched and just comes out ice cold for the rest of the game. I saw it in a Pelicans game last year. I've seen it numerous other times. That was one example off the top of my head. Fox was cold from the start. I really wish that Fox would just take it to the hole more, just due to his speed and quickness, because nobody's really going to catch up to him. I think he's gotten a little too comfortable, with that 3 ball, and a little too comfortable, trying to get other guys involved. Sometimes you just need that Kobe, like, okay, I just got to take it in and score. And again, nothing wrong with that. I knew, but sometimes if you're that guy, you're the man, you just got to do it.
Don't disagree with you whatsoever. Do not disagree with you. So really quick, who you got tonight in college football?
Who do I have tonight? Well, how about I'll just give the main bowls, since they're pretty much starting New Year's anyways. I'm going Boise over Penn State. I'm really feeling this Boise team.
Acknowledge me.
Yeah, I'm feeling this Boise team because Penn State had it easy with SMU. Let's be honest. They had a home game. It was just, SMU was just not the team.
You know what? Really quick, can I say something?
Sure.
I want to get on the record early saying this. I think being one of the teams that has a home bowl game or a home game for the college football playoff, playing in that first round, is ultimately going to give a bump to those teams as they go through the college football playoff. I don't see how momentum is not just at a fever freaking pitch coming off of an experience like that at Ohio State, at Notre Dame, wherever it was at. I think that was huge for those teams.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, obviously they had their best crowds of the year. Each team pretty much did. I mean, minus Ohio State, just because Tennessee bought a lot of tickets compared to the other road teams. And obviously Tennessee is not that far away from, it's like from here to San Diego. Like, It's really not that much of a different, far. Even though, it's a bunch of different states. Just California, I guess we're kind of used to that. We're like, that's not that far. But Penn State, there was a sea of white. There was just a sea for Texas. There was a sea everywhere except that game. And then Tennessee just didn't show up. None of the road teams showed up. Like no one looked prepared to play a road playoff game in college football. And obviously it was the first one. It was the first road postseason game, like pure on the road. This team's home. None of them were ready for it. I mean, how could you? There's nothing to go off of.
Is that an Al Bundy TV?
Oh man, probably.
Look at this, dude. You're getting it right now. And that's why I said it's so. I get lost in your background. If it seems like I'm not paying attention to what you're saying, I get lost in what's behind you, dude.
Oh man, I got it all, man. I like some retro. I like some modern. I'm just that in between guy. I just like being that in between guy. I was never ready to fully, give up the old school.
I hear you, brother. Well, hey, appreciate the call. I got to wrap it up because
All right, man.
Nate is going to be here in just a few minutes. Appreciate you.
Later, guys.
All right, Corn Dog coming through. He's our resident college football guy. So really quick, somebody in the chat said the Kings didn't run it back. You absolutely ran it back. What are we talking about? Sasha's the big move? You brought Harrison Barnes back. You ran it back that year. Come on. Let's be fair about that. And I'm really, again, looking forward to what tonight looks like for the Kings. They have a good chance at winning this game. You literally have Dallas without everybody. Kyrie, out. Luka, out. Najee Marshall, out. Lively, game time decision. So this one's looking pretty good if you're the Kings. Now, for me, I'm not tuning in because of the Kings. I mean, one, it's my job, and I like to tune in. By the way, those that said, I saw somebody put in the chat about the name of the channel. I get that. We're taking that under consideration. So thank you for that feedback. But getting back to what I was saying, I'm tuning in for all of you that are going to the game. I want to see what this fan base does and how it turns, and if this article changes anything. Giving you my take on the article, and I'm concerned that doesn't Monty look like a knight in shining armor? Isn't that what that article tells us? That Monty and Foxy, knights in shining armor. Not knocking Ramona Shelburne. She did a great job with the article, but not good. Mavericks last 5, lost to Portland. Most recently, 126-122. Phoenix, they beat 98-89. Low scoring affair. They lost to Minnesota 105-99. Portland, they beat 132-108. Clippers, they won as well, 113-97. So Dallas is playing a little uglier, lower scoring without Luka. Not surprising. Here's a line. Kings 6.5-point favorites tonight. I'd be fading that all day if I was a gambling person. Mavericks 20-12 on the season, 10-7 on the road. Kings abysmal 6-12 at home. So I want to say thank you to all of you. It's been a fun show. I had to get out of the sun. Again, somebody bring that up on the post-game show. If that comes up on the post-game show, I promise you, I'm going to get a rant for having that happen. Grant will rant on me. Speaking of Grant, we can't wait to see you later tonight. In fact, stick around 20 minutes from now, 22 minutes. Napes will be here taking you over at 4 o'clock, and then pregame begins at 6:15. Halftime, Jerry Reynolds right here at the intermission, and postgame, Grant and I bring you home, taking your calls. A massive thank you to the 1,025 of you that have checked in at some point here on the King's Court today. So appreciated. I say it all the time. You all are the best and most knowledgeable fans in the association. Make it a great rest of the day. We'll be back tomorrow. Do a New Year's Eve special. Talk about this one tonight. And we'll have some post-game audio and see what's next. Talk some football as well. But make it a great rest of the day. Can't wait to see you for pregame at 6:15. But first, Napes right here, 4 p.m. on the channel. Join him in just about 20 minutes. Go Kings! Light the damn beam. Stay the hell away from Levine. Court is dismissed.